Hi people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new video talking about my favorite YA books that are set post-high school, which I feel like is a very rare thing to find because the majority of YA that I read, for the most part, is set in high school. So anyway, here we go. The first book on this list is called See You Yesterday. This book is a YA contemporary. It was actually one of my most anticipated 2022 new releases, and it definitely lived up to that expectation. But anyway, it's a YA contemporary following a young, plus-size main character who's stuck in a time loop of her first day as a college freshman. This book is absolutely so good, and I think that Alice Oseman is literally so talented, and her books have been so consistently so good, which I really appreciate, because sometimes when I read YA contemporaries or like YA anything or like any book or any genre or whatever, sometimes like the first book is great and it's amazing, but then the second book is like bad. You know what I mean? Like, some people are truly a one-trick pony, but Alice Oseman isn't at all, and I really like that about her, because it shows that her writing is so good, but also, like, it continues to improve as well. Anyway, the point is, in See You Yesterday, the characters were so well developed and so distinct, the romance was so lovely, and it was so wonderful, and it was absolutely so fluffy. The plot was so intriguing, and it was so interesting, and it was absolutely so engaging, and the fact that the characters were stuck in a time loop never became, like, repetitive or redundant to me at all. In fact, it made the story so much more immersive, if that makes any sense. But anyway, the point is, this book was so good, and I really enjoyed it. So with all that said, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Time of Our Lives. This book is a YA contemporary following a pair of high school seniors who cross paths on a college tour, and it talks about their alternate possibilities concerning their first big adult decision. And honestly, I thought of this author duo when I was talking about the one-trick pony authors earlier, because some of their books have been really good, like this one. But then, like, some of their books, like the majority of the books, honestly, haven't really been. But anyway, the point is, this book in particular was 5 stars. It was one of my favorites of 2020, and I really enjoyed it, and here's why. First of all, the two main characters were both so well developed and so distinct, and I was so emotionally attached to each of their individual stories and backstories and family dynamics and everything like that, literally so much. Second of all, their romantic dynamic was literally so cute, and it was so wonderful, and their romance was so well developed. Third of all, the plot was so engaging, and it was so intriguing, and it was literally so well done. What these authors do well is, like, craft good characters and a good story with, like, emotional depth, which I really enjoyed in this book. It was literally so good. Literally, I remember crying halfway through the book, and, like, towards the end as well, if that makes any sense. Like, literally, this book is so good, because the story itself is so awesome, and it's so emotional, and it's so engaging, and these authors are literally so talented, which is why I will continue to support them in the future, even though their recent books haven't really been anything higher than 3 stars. Like, they're so talented. But anyway, the point is, if this book was 5 stars, and I really loved it, so with that, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Required Reading for the Disenfranchised Freshman. This book is a YA contemporary that follows a young, black college freshman who's navigating going to an elite university with a disturbing racist history as she discovers that their racist history isn't as distant as it seems. I hope that makes sense. This book came out in like February or something, and it really flew under the radar for no good reason, because this book is literally so good, and I'm absolutely so excited for what the author has next, because I think that they have a next book coming out next year, and I'm literally so excited for it, because this book was so good. First of all, as a black person who's in university myself, like, so many things that the author and the main character, like, talked about felt so literally, like, authentic and so, like, well developed and so well done. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but the story felt so authentic, and it felt so realistic to so many young, like, marginalized people at, like, an elite, prestigious place, whether that's work or school or whatever. Literally, this book was so good. The plot was so intriguing, and it was absolutely so engaging. The characters were so well developed and so distinct, and again, they literally felt so authentic. This book is so good, and it's so underrated, and and more people should talk about it. Not just the marginalized people that, like, it's tailored towards, if that makes any sense, but, like, everybody else as well. Literally, this book is so good, and it's so underrated, and more people should talk about it, and more than just, like, the black people in university who literally experience this on a daily basis. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but basically this book is so good, and I'm so excited for the author's next book, because this book was so awesome. So anyway, with all that said, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Loveless. This book is a YA contemporary following a young main character in university for the first time as she navigates her new aromantic and asexual identity. This book is absolutely so good, and it's so amazing, and it's so emotional, and it's absolutely, like, so timely and necessary and important, because I know that there's so many young people out there who are heading towards university for the first time, and without, like, adults being there telling you what to think and what you are and whatever, it's like your time to figure out who you are and who you want to be and everything. And I know that so many young adults out there can experience that for the first time. You know what I mean? Whether that means, like, your queer identity or your, like, political beliefs or your religious beliefs or whatever, like, you're figuring out who you are for the first time without the presence of, like, adult parents, guardians, whatever, telling you who you're, like, supposed to be or whatever. I don't know if that makes any sense, and I digress, but the point is, Loveless is literally so important for that reason alone, and also, like, for the aromantic and asexual community, and I definitely understand why so many people resonate with this book so much, and why, like, Alice is writing truly from their heart and from their own experiences, because, like, that came through the pages. You know what I mean? Like, as an ally, I understand. This book is literally so important, and it's so timely, not just for the representation itself, but, like, for the story and for the characters and for the found family and for the magical friendships and everything like that. Literally, this book is so good. Alice crafts characters like no other. I've always said that, and I always will. Like, this book is so good. The plot is so intriguing, and it's so engaging. The representation, even aside from the main characters, aromantic and asexual representation, was so good. This book is so awesome, and it's so amazing, and it's so emotional, and it deserves all the hype and so much more. So with that, I would highly recommend it. The last book on this list, and certainly not the least, is called Watch Over Me. This book is a YA contemporary following a young, newly high school graduate who's accepted a job at a place that is haunted by the memories and the trauma of its residents, and her own trauma is coming to light. This book is so good, and it's absolutely so awesome. First of all, the writing is so lyrical and it's so beautiful, which I definitely expected from this author, because their writing historically is literally so pretty and it's so beautiful, and I'm so excited to read whatever YA books they're going to write next, assuming that they're still writing YA books. I know that they recently released an adult book, so I don't know if they're, like, finished with YA or not, but anyway, the point is, this book was literally so good, and I enjoyed it so much. The writing, like I mentioned, was literally so poetic and so well done. The plot was so intriguing and absolutely so engaging, and the story itself was so immersive and so readable, because the characters were, like, so well developed and so distinct. This book is absolutely so awesome, and I was literally so immersed in the story and in the characters and in the events and, like, everything that was happening. This book is literally so underrated, and it's so good, and I just really enjoyed it. And honestly, I would say that this is the author's best book. Honestly, like, it's so good, and it's literally so well done. And anyway, with all that said, this book is absolutely so underrated, and it deserves so much more hype. So with that, I would highly recommend it. So, in conclusion, for me personally, I don't have a preference for how old the characters are when I'm reading YA. It depends more on how well the execution is, which I know could be argued for, like, any trope, any story, or any, like, whatever. But for me personally, there are certain tropes, like second chance romance, exes to lovers, forced proximity, that I've always, like, disliked. But anyway, the point is, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the penguin emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!